Hey there, AI automation fans. Today I want to talk about how to take an element that you found on a website, use AI to incorporate it into your website. In this case, it's going to be a blog. I found this article about ChatGPT 4.1. I scrolled through and I was like, ooh, look at this highlight section. I really like this and I want to steal it. I want to replicate it. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. However, I'm not a coder, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into Claude and I want to take you through my process in doing that. Now, the first thing I did coming back here is I took a screenshot of this section so I could visually give Claude an idea of what I want it to do. Here's the image that I uploaded here. I also asked about some SEO side effects of doing this just to validate a thought I had, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But essentially, from a coding point of view, I'm using Claude 3.7 Sonnet. It's one of the best coders out there right now. And I said, hey, I would like you to put your WordPress hat on, so I don't want it to think just HTML for a generic website, specifically work in WordPress because there are some restrictions. I want you to replicate the same look, and then I wanted to change it quick glance because they have it called highlights. And I said, no, I don't want that. I want it to be quick glance. Since it'll be posted on a WordPress blog page, code specifically. So be specific to WordPress. Super important. So here it goes. It says, all right, I'll go ahead and create that. Here's the code over here on the right. And I'm like, all right, great. Here's some HTML code that I can put on the actual page itself. I see it's got a second item. It's got a third item. It's got some navigational dots down at the bottom. And then I saw this and I was like, ooh, PHP. They're thinking this is going to go into a website that has a child theme. And the difference is when you put PHP code directly into your theme, whenever you update your theme, it wipes out any changes. So you have to have what they call a child theme, and that's where you would have to put PHP code in. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I went back to Claude after it did that, and I said, okay, hey, great. Problem is I don't have a child theme, but I do have a JavaScript/CSS plugin. This created a new problem because I did not prompt correctly. But it says, hey, not a problem. Let me go ahead and take care of this. Boom, here's some updated code. And basically it's like, hey, just add all of this to your JavaScript CSS plugin. The problem is if we go look at my plugin itself, I have to add the CSS and the JavaScript code separately. And just for those that are interested, if I go to plugins, the plugin that I'm using is called Simple Custom CSS and JavaScript. And what it allows you to do is to input code like this, but it's going to save it in a separate file so that when you do update your theme, which should be done when it comes up for security reasons, you're not going to lose all of these because it's saved separately in a plugin. So, all right, I go, great, let me take that. I plug that in, life is good. Additionally, if we get back to the changes, it's now giving us new HTML code. And I'm like, ooh, I really like this because it's simple. This is going to be great for AI automation. And I'm also starting to think, hey, it's given me 3 options. You can see here, data quick glance 3, and then we have 2 and 1. I'm like, ooh, we could add a 4th down the road, maybe 5, that might be stretching it. It says, hey, not a problem. It gives me the code. And I'm like, hey, would you mind separating the code just to make my life easier? It says, sure, boom, here's my CSS code. And then here's the JavaScript code. I go into WordPress, I go and add this in separately. Not a problem. All you got to do is do that. Go ahead and hit the update button. You're done. Boom. I've got my JavaScript CSS. Then we go into the actual blog post and you'll see I've added a 4th. And the way I did that, I just grabbed number 3 here. I copy and paste it. Anytime you see a bracket div, that's the beginning of something. And anytime you see a bracket \div, that's the end of a section. So as long as I grab between the div and the /div, I can duplicate that as many times as I want. And then I just added option 4 in here so I knew it was different. And then if I go up here, I can do a preview. Gonna go ahead and preview. And whammo, bammo, here we go. We got 1, we got 2, we got 3. Oh, what happened to the 4th? Oh, look at that, Ryan. We got some arrow buttons down here at the bottom, and notice how the bar changes and it slides over. How cool is that? I got all 4 options in here. It's got the quick glance that I asked for. It's got the great background that I asked for. I'm like, this is going to look sharp. It's going to take the website design. And by the way, this is a test website right now, but I'm going to incorporate this into some other websites that I manage. And I'm like, this is going to look good. Now, before we get all excited, clean our hands, we're done. Let's make sure that this is actually going to be responsive. And so what I want to do is let's pull this in a little bit. Yes, it is responsive. So you can see it is resizing itself automatically depending on how big or small the page is. So this is super nice. I love it. It's quick, it's simple. This whole process took me about 10 minutes to do. It was really simple. Now it does help to have some knowledge about coding. How did I figure that stuff out? Well, I've been working in WordPress for about 10 years. I've made enough mistakes that I've learned what I need to do. If you do the same thing, just feed any problems you have back into AI, it's going to give you the answers and you'll be able to replicate different looks and feels. Now, this is just one example. If you've got an idea, give it an idea, give it a thought, share, make a picture or a drawing of it, share it with AI and go, hey, how do you do this? Don't ask if it's possible, because AI will just figure out a way. Go, hey, how do you do this? Now that we got our website set up, how do we incorporate this into an AI automation? Well, that's where make.com comes into play. So I've got an automation right here that is a blog content writer. And what it does is I start with an Airtable, which is essentially like Excel, and I put a topic idea keywords in there. I send things off to Claude to actually write the article. I get OpenAI, ChatGPT involved a little bit to create titles, descriptions, tags also. This has to get cleaned up in JSON. And then the next thing we're going to do, this right here. I have 2 different element creators that I have. I've got this 3x1 grid and the 2x2 grid. That essentially what happens here is the article is generated, and then I have a router that's just randomly chooses 1 or 2, and it says, hey, after you write this article, send all the content that gets generated, push it back into one of these here, share that information on Airtable, and then it's going to combine all those elements into a final product that is then shared in Airtables. That way, when you actually look on Airtable, we not only have, hey, here's the title, here's the keywords that I want you to put into the title or into the blog itself, but on the output, I have the initial blog post, I have the element, and it could be this element we just created, or the 2x2 or the 3x3 different elements that I've created, put that back in the Airtable, and then I just send it off to AI again. And essentially when I send it off to AI, I'm saying, hey, take whatever you got from this element, take whatever you got from the blog, and then combine them. This is what this one does here. This is a combination elementer here, is it's actually combining I wasn't expecting that to happen. It's combining the content together for me, and then it gives me a final product in Airtable. So hope that makes sense. I don't want to go into how I create this blog creation. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. I can create a different video about that. But, ultimately, I want you to just kind of think about all these tools that are available to us now through AI, what you can do, how it can improve not only automation to simplify your life, but how can you make a better product? Since I'm a one-person team, as an example, I've got 1099 help that supports me, but if I want to do something, you know what? I'm not really good at coding. I can have AI code for me. Oh, you know what? I'm not a really good UX or UI designer. I find something that I like, and then I tell Claude, or any AI system, hey, replicate this and then tweak it to my liking. I'd love to know what you come up with. If you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to share, make sure you put those in the comments below. If you find this type of content helpful, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video, as it does help the AI algorithm for YouTube. Till next time, take care.